what is the difference between a sin of omission and a sin of commission? And why does it matter? That's a good question. Let's talk about it. The sin of omission is knowing the right thing to do, but refusing to do it. And it can also be defined as not doing what God has instructed you or told you to do within His Word. So anytime we refuse to do things that we know are right, or we know that God has instructed us to do in His Word, we are committing the sin of omission. This is slightly different than the sin of commission, in which the sin of commission can be intentional or unintentional, but it's simply just breaking God's commandments. And the sin of commission is really just any action that you do that's wrong. So God says that lying and sexual immorality are sins, and you are a liar and you constantly commit sexual immorality. That is the sin of commission. And a good example of the sin of omission is that God has called us to love our neighbors as ourselves, and you choosing to not love your neighbor because you don't like them is the sin of omission. So the sin of omission is failing to do what is right. The sin of commission is doing wrong. And Paul says it like this in Romans chapter 7, verse 19. For the good that I want, I do not do, but I practice the very evil that I do not want. The reason for why this is important to know is that if we want to get better at serving God and living for Him properly, we should understand specifically what the sin of omission is, because it's something that oftentimes goes underneath the radar for us as Christians, and we need to do better about it and repent from it. Sins of commission we're very familiar with, but sins of omission sometimes we forget about. But I hope that this helped, brought you some clarity, and gave you some food for thought. If you want more content like this, go and drop a sub or a follow. And if you want to hear more teachings from me that are outside of short form content, I want to recommend you join my Bible classes every single Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Google Meets.